Hey, what's going on, guys? So, DC and Marvel will officially cross over for the first time in over 20 years with Batman and Deadpool. Huh? So, as I'm recording this, like right now, both DC and Marvel have officially announced what the long rumored intercompany crossover will be, and it's gonna be two respective one-shots featuring a crossover between Batman and Deadpool, with the creative team for the DC one-shot being Grant Morrison as the writer with artist Dan Mora. And right off the bat, no pun intended, I love this pairing. If you've never read Klaus, first of all, fix that. It's the dark and gritty origin story for Santa Claus, and it's the first comic that I think Morrison and Mora ever collaborated on, and it is by far one of the best comics ever put to print. So seeing these two reunite is really exciting. But more to the point, this is a creative team that just makes complete sense if you're DC Comics. Grant Morrison is by far one of the most iconic and well-regarded Batman writers in the character's modern history. In fact, some would argue that theirs was the last Batman run, given how every writer on the main Batman book ever since has just been rehashing what Morrison did with the character, but I digress. And Dan Mora is just the obvious choice to pick as your artist for something like this. Like, he is literally the premier DC artist right now. He's the artist on World's Finest, he's the main Superman artist, and he's the main artist on Mark Waid's Justice League Unlimited. That said, he has drawn some Marvel characters here and there on his Instagram, so it's gotta be really cool seeing him finally do some more Marvel characters for an official Marvel project, so that's really exciting. Meanwhile, on the Marvel front, we have Greg Capullo doing the art, which is really cool. I'm still not entirely used to seeing Greg Capullo draw Marvel characters. It's weird. It's more like discovering that you enjoy having your butthole licked while listening to Christian ASMR. It's kind of like that. That's exactly what seeing Greg Capullo drawing Marvel characters feels like to me. Plus, Capullo is one of the most iconic Batman artists of the past decade, so having him be part of this crossover just makes about as much sense as having Grant Morrison be here. Now, Zeb Wells is a writer at Marvel Comics, and you know what? Look, I think he's fine.
You what?
I think he gets a lot of shit for his run on Amazing Spider-Man, which I don't think that's entirely his fault. I mean, come on. You can count the number of good post-One More Day Spider-Man stories between 5 people on, like, one hand. I'm still holding out to my theory that J. Michael Straczynski cursed that character when he rage quit the book in the middle of One More Day. But Spider-Man aside, I think Zeb Wells is a fun writer, and he's got some good books under his belt, like Carnage USA and Doc Ock Year One. That said, I'll be 100% honest in saying that I think there's about a dozen other writers at Marvel that I think would have been better to represent the company for the first Marvel DC crossover in over 2 decades, but we'll see where that goes. As for the crossover itself, I've seen some people throw out the word random, but to me it doesn't really feel random as much as it feels like the last Marvel movie to crack $1 billion was Deadpool 3, and as far as DC is concerned, Batman is the only character that exists in the DC universe. So really, this just feels like a corporate boardroom decision. And I feel like you can already tell what this book is going to be. Like, even without looking at the brief summary that Zeb Wells offers in the Entertainment Weekly article. This is just going to be Batman being endlessly annoyed with Deadpool while they hunt down the Joker or something like that. So basically, Deadpool Wolverine, but replace Wolverine with Batman and the barren wasteland that was the Fox Studios lot with Gotham City. But again, like I said, the creative teams here, for the most part, are a pretty big draw for me. And I'm really excited to see what Grant Morrison and Dan Mora can do with this kind of a crossover. And I'm down to see what Capullo and Wells can bring to the table. Now, do I think that there were other characters in the Marvel and DC universe that would have made for a more interesting crossover? Abso-fucking-lutely. But I hope that this is just the first step towards something even greater. After all, you don't get JLA Avengers without unlimited access. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Are you excited for this? Are you on the fence? What's your ideal Marvel DC crossover? For me personally, it's gotta be Moon Knight versus Dr. Fate. Either that or Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle meets Miles Morales Spider-Man. I would absolutely do unspeakable things to see either one of those crossovers. But yeah, let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel. And if you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I'm the Mystical Green Beanie. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, take care, guys. Peace.